I think one of the mistakes that all farmers have done for years is we're independent people. So what's happened is that a lot of other people start telling our story, which they don't know. My name's Dave Schaup. I'm one of 7 partners in Schaup Brothers Farm. I went to veterinary school for 4 years, and I went to the OARDC and I did a PhD in veterinary preventive medicine in the areas of virology, immunology, and molecular biology. And after that, I figured I had enough degrees to go back home and raise pigs with my family.
I'm Matt Petraska. We're at Rittman Orchards. It's my family's business. Our specialty is tree crops. Over 70 varieties of apples, over 30 varieties of peaches. Every color of raspberry you can believe. We also have a lot of field crops.
My name is Brian Gwynn. I'm the program manager for the Agroecosystems Management Program. My background is Ohio State University. I graduated in dairy science from Ohio State. Worked on a family farm for 3 years, starting about 7-8 years ago in agriculture-related economic development.
My name is Casey Hoy, and I'm the Kellogg Endowed Chair in Agricultural Ecosystems Management at Ohio State University. My background is I've got a bachelor's in entomology at Cornell University. I got into a PhD program also at Cornell and was hired here pretty much right after I got done there. Sure, I'm pro-farming. Because, well, first of all, this is where our food comes from, so I'm pro-eating. And
honestly, farmers get a really bad rap about not being environmentally conscious, polluting, tearing up the soil, like poisoning the rivers, you know, whatever you want to say. When in reality, farmers are the biggest conservation group in America.
Farmers by nature have to be environmentally sound because, you know, not only do we want to be able to pass this land on to our children, many of them who want to stay in the business. Also for our own financial well-being, we have to be environmental stewards. Erosion is a big hot topic, and runoff's a hot topic. Well, that top 8 inches of soil, that's where our livelihood is. That's what produces the crop. If an inch of that washes away each year, or even a half inch, we're losing what is growing the crop for us.
Working a field, you're thinking about, you know, your impact on the environment, the animals around the farming operation. Conservation practices in this community, you would have a lot of no-till going on, so not tilling the soil, buffer strips, things like that along the waterways. You're looking at the environment every time, every activity you're doing.
And I think, you know, there can be a tendency to focus too much on this is strictly about economics and a list of inputs. And I think you can make mistakes and harm land and water and air and life on the land. But I don't think that's experienced farmers. I think the ones that have experience understand the nature of what they're doing, that it is about life.
In every industry, there's the bad apples. The farmers who are going to stay in business are going to make sure that they're doing the most they possibly can.
Farmers do a great job of trying to apply nutrients from their livestock operations at the appropriate times, incorporate those nutrients, but there's just unforeseen events. A couple years ago we had that happen here where the ground froze, you got a nice snow cover, and then you have a couple inches of rain on top of that. The amount of erosion that took place of that was what people hadn't seen in their lifetime. So there's uncontrolled situations of erosion.
It takes a lot of skill to be successful at it. You need a very strong work ethic. You need a lot of knowledge because there's biology, there's economics, there's engineering, there's all those things that you really do have to know something about to do farming successfully at any scale, really.
And what we do here, we take it very seriously. We preserve natural habitat on our farm. I mean, instead of just bulldozing everything and planting trees, you know, we have saved natural habitat for animals. We don't blanket spray. We actually farm with a process called integrated pest management. And that's scouting for pests before we spray. That's not planting in large monocultures. That's It actually does come down to just being environmentally conscious.
One of the best farmers I've ever known is a guy named John Herzl. When he was a young guy, first out of college, he was convinced he could farm his driveway. If he could just come up with the equipment to chop it up fine enough and put on all the right inputs, he could get record yields off a driveway. And he said that he had come to the conclusion after years of farming that that's not true, that there is life in the soil, there's life on the land, and that that's absolutely as important as the sun and the rain. And I think that's what makes a really good farmer, is that understanding of the life in the soil, the life on the land, how that combines with all of the rest of nature to make it possible to do what they do. There's a lot of removal of the rainforest for, say, soybeans. The price of soybeans goes up and the Amazonian rainforest gets cleared. Here in Northeast Ohio, or in Ohio in general, farms are the green space. Farms are our equivalent of what the kind of natural areas that you have in the rainforest. And Ohio is one of the top states in the nation for loss of farmland.
If my wife and me would not have bought this land, a developer had it planned for roads and houses. Since 2010, I believe in this country we've lost 1.5 million acres of farmland. And we lose it to urban sprawl.
The best farmland is also very attractive for industry, for residential use. The thing is, the very best farmland, it's not the majority of the surface of the planet. It's actually a fairly rare resource when you consider most of the world's covered with water. The part of the world that's covered with land, it's not all good farmland. We're blessed in this part of the country, in this part of the planet, with wonderful soils.
I mean, we aren't here to fight nature and fight the environment. Yeah. We're here to work with it. If we weren't farming this property, it would probably be a housing development. And it would just be some lawns, a bunch of pavement. You know, pavement is the last crop you will ever plant. And that's the sad truth. But more and more farms, that's what they do. I mean, that's the farmer's retirement package. They sell their land to a housing development, and it's gone forever.
A lot of farmers can't compete for the price that a person who wants to buy a house on 5 acres can pay. And so we're being squeezed on less and less acres, but it's necessary that we continue to grow just as much food for the locally and for the world as we did 30, 40 years ago, but just do it on less acres. If someone has a passion to farm, we need them, because those are the kind of people that are going to do it right.
Farms are what is maintaining the soils, maintaining the land in plants and green space.
It's important to maintain the farmland that we have.
Environmentalism. However you define that, I think, you know, the special interest groups kind of use that word as a weapon. You know, being an environmentalist means like hugging trees, or, you know, not using any leather goods or things like that, where the real term environmentalism comes from preserving and appreciating the environment around you. And honestly, I think at the core, that's what farming is.